In making this change to the QMSR, it is going to have an impact to several other FDA requirements and guidance, most notably the CDRH inspection program, which is referred to as the QSIT program, will need to be updated, and I believe that's one of the first documents that FDA intends to focus on. At some point, this will impact some of the combination product documents, so the compliance program for combination product inspections, as well as the FDA guidance for combination product GMP requirements. The references to ISO 1345 and 9000, which includes the definitions, are incorporated by reference, which means that the language is cross-referenced, not pulled into the actual text of the final rule. We are providing, there is a link that is provided in the final rule to access these standards for free. You're not required to purchase them. Certifications are not required or applicable. So ISO 1345 certification is not required and is not a substitute for FDA inspection, nor will an ISO 1345 certification result from a FDA inspection. In addition, MD SAP also does not apply to combination product inspections. So overall, while some of the prescriptive language of ISO 1345 may be new, the FDA expectations are substantially the same. And there is commentary in the final rule where FDA explains that this regulation has not been revised in 20 years. And since then, some of the expectations for quality management systems have changed. So the rulemaking does not fundamentally alter the requirements. It better communicates FDA expectations. Some of the Part 4 specific changes, the GMPs are not changing. So when I say the GMPs, it's those callouts under the streamlined approach. It's more conforming edits. So that means the language to the 1345 requirements is called out rather than the language to the 820 requirements. Another point I want to make, which is not necessarily new, but is an important consideration, is analogous requirements. So even though there's only 4 callouts under the streamlined approach, that doesn't mean you're not expected to comply with other 820 requirements. However, the FDA says, okay, we have analogous requirement under 211, for example, process validation. Now you need to apply it to the combination product from that lens. So for example, 1345, 756 section addresses process validation. So if it's not mentioned as a call out, that doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily apply. Some of the key exceptions are definitions. So most of the definitions now are those that are in 1345 or ISO 9000. There are some exceptions to this. Terminology-wise, one of the big terms that you'll see throughout is top management. This is essentially the same as management with executive responsibility, but you will see there's quite a bit of additional language around top management responsibility. There are some definitions that are retained from 820 that are not in ISO 9000 or 1345, most notably finished device and component. And these are important definitions for what is under the scope of what we consider a combination product. There's also some definitions that supersede those in ISO 1345 because they're different under the FDA requirements. So rework and manufacture, some key examples, as well as device and labeling are aligned with the FD and C requirements. There are some supplementary provisions, meaning in addition to the 1345 requirements, there are some new 820 requirements, and we'll get into that shortly. And then one of the major changes I want to make you aware of is that There have been an exclusion on inspecting management review records, supplier audit records, and internal audit records. That exclusion is no longer in place, which means FDA can and will inspect those records.